Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the radar. And today, we got a lot to talk about here in the tropics, so let's hop to it. So, as you can see behind me, I have my handy-dandy little dashboard here, so we can get a brief overview of some of the stuff going on without having to dive into the weeds. In the Gulf satellite, you can see Milton in the southwest Gulf really starting to press the gas. It is getting very organized and will probably be a hurricane later today or tomorrow morning. And the current projection is to be Category 3 on landfall, so I would plan for at least a Category 4 anywhere on the west coast of Florida from Cedar Key all the way down to Fort Myers. But it's looking to probably go into Tampa most likely. And as you can see there, or from the local satellite, which is specifically over Florida, there is a frontal boundary that is pushing south a little bit that should shield North Florida from potential impacts from this to some degree. We're still going to see some rain, probably a little bit of gusty wind off the extended wind field, but nothing like we had with Helene, thankfully. But around Tampa, probably not going to be nearly as nice, and south of that is probably going to have a lot of storm surge to deal with. So, without further ado, let's get more into specifically what we got to deal with a future Hurricane Milton. And now we're looking at the official forecast from the NHC. Currently, as of 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, it is over the southwestern Gulf, moving east at 5 miles an hour, a snail's pace, so it's got plenty of time to develop between now and the west coast of Florida. And current winds are 60 miles an hour, which means there's a very strong chance this thing will be a hurricane later today. Officially, right now it's just a tropical storm, but let's not get too hung up over what we call this storm. It is going to be a huge impact here to the west coast of Florida, as you can see. And anywhere in this cone of uncertainty, the center potentially could go. That leaves Big Bend or Florida still potentially in the line of fire. In South Florida, you're not out of the woods yet either, but everything is looking more and more like a close to Tampa landfall. And depending on which side of Tampa it goes on, it could be a nightmare scenario, so be prepared for that. There's going to be a lot of storm surge, and the only loss is going to be the forward speed, because it won't spend a lot of time dumping tons of rain. But that is also going to be bad news for the storm surge, so on the coast, you guys should be getting boarded up and sandbagged and do whatever preps you need to do and be getting out very quickly, because you're going to run out of time quickly with the storm the way it's moving and the speed it will be moving in the next 24 hours. So let's look a little bit more detailed at it in the current watches and warnings. Right now, the only watches are for the Yucatan Peninsula. But as you can see, it's very tiny right now. This is not going to be a huge storm like Helene. The conditions just aren't the same. But that doesn't mean we should be sitting on our laurels about this one. It's still going to come. But Yucatan Peninsula has a watch up. So nothing to write home about currently. But let's look at the wind speed probability here. As you can see, it is looking like it could potentially encompass the entire state of Florida for potential winds depending on the path it takes. So just because it's small now doesn't mean it'll stay small, but it's not going to be as big as Helene. That's the good news. The bad news, if you're in Tampa, you're still probably going to see a lot of storm surge in the bay if it hits just north. If it's just south, you might be a little more okay. But a lot can happen between now and landfall. So, now that you've seen the wind speed possibility, the storm surge probability, let's look at what the satellite is showing. And we have our satellite image, and as you can see, that satellite is looking way more impressive. So, especially, the overall shape is starting to form. It is consolidating convection around the center. This thing is poised to start really intensifying over the day today. And really being major hurricane status as far out as here, which is late or early Tuesday, already looking at a Cat 3. So I would plan for, if you're in this area, plan for a possible Cat 4, because we saw what happened with Helene. Initial forecast had Category 2 on landfall in the Big Bend, and it ended up making landfall as a Category 4. So don't pay so much to the number they slap on it. Plan for something bigger, which in this case, they're projecting Cat 3, so plan for at least a Cat 4. Hopefully, it doesn't get anywhere near that, but nature can be fickle. So, but my key message from as a weather enthusiast who just lived through Helene and lived through Debbie and lived through Idalia last year, be prepared. Have your plans in place, and if you are in a low-lying area, very prone to flooding in a storm surge zone for this part of the world, especially around Tampa, be ready to evacuate tomorrow, as in on Monday. Tuesday morning at the very latest, because if you wait until Wednesday, Thursday, you could be without a place to stay, your roads could be closing down, and you could be stuck in a situation you don't want to be in. So don't count on things being safe right up until landfall. Get out ahead. Be prepared, and if you're on the coast, be ready to go ahead and start heading out the next 24 hours because you may run out of time very quickly, especially in Tampa Bay. But keep an eye on the path of this, and be ready to pull your trigger very quickly because you're not going to have a whole lot of time here. That's my key message from experience. I'm no official meteorologist. I'm just telling you what you need to know now. So look for your official sources like your local NWS or National Hurricane Center, Weather Channel, or Weather Underground. All those are more official sources than and there are plenty of independent forecasters on YouTube. I'm just telling you the nitty-gritty. Be ready to get out, especially if you're around the Tampa area, if it stays on this track. It could easily shift, but keep an eye on it. That's my advice to you as someone who's looked through this stuff. And if you don't plan on evacuating, like you're a little further inland, have your generator fuel ready if you have one of those, and be ready for at least 2 or 3 days without power. Because that tends to happen a lot with these storms. Thankfully, we already have a lot of resources here, but we also have a lot of resources that we sent up to help out with our Helene recovery efforts. So we may not have as much available this time. But be ready for 2 or 3 days at minimum without power. So, and with that, if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. And I'll see you all on the next radar. Bye-bye.